So personnel, we have a budget of 264,000, and so far I've spent 142,000. So they are right on target with where we would expect them to be. I believe it's like 9,000 shy. We do have one more payroll that's going to post. So these figures include the first payroll for July. So the second payroll will put them right on target. Supplies has a budget of 4,700 and so far have spent under $1,000. So they are under target for the year so far. Services has a budget of 2.8 million and so far has spent 2.7 million. 2 million of that is paying the insurance premium that's due at the beginning of the year. That covers all of 2025. Transfers has a budget of 850,000 and so far has utilized the entire budget. We don't anticipate any more transfers happening this year. 300,000 was transferred to the liability claims fund to pay for tort claims. And then 550,000 was transferred to the general fund. The general fund in 2024 had given the fund a loan to help pay for insurance premiums since the department was required to pay 18 months worth of premiums because the risk pool had changed their fiscal year.
Is that just premium to the risk pool, that 2 million, or is that like what other insurances does that include?
Volunteer insurance, Shelley Pierce, risk manager. It pays for our volunteer insurance, pollution insurance. So most of our insurance policies are paid. We do have a couple coming up in August, September, but they're they're under 20,000.
So our next fund is industrial accident. So we have goods and services with a budget of 796,000. So far, we have brought in 613,000. So again, those are internal service billings charged to other departments. We do have one department still left to pay. So once they pay, we'll be right on budget. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 21,000 and so far they've brought in 18,000. 6 of that is related to a refund of an insurance premium from 2024 and then the rest is going to be investment earnings. No personnel for this fund. We have services of 796,000. So far, they've spent 397,000. So they are slightly under target by about 65,000. So we'll just continue to watch that. We don't anticipate there being a large increase in expenses for any reason through the end of the year. Liability claims fund. So we have miscellaneous revenue of 153,000 and so far have brought in 2,000. So the insurance recovery that we're expecting is still pending. We did talk with Scott and Shelley. We did learn that there is going to be an additional claim for hours worked for facilities and I believe noxious weed. We're not sure what that dollar amount will be. They're still working through gathering the amount of hours that they'll include in that claim. So we will likely do a fourth quarter budget amendment to account for that revenue once the claim amount's known.
Do we know what the final claim amount on the liability portion of it is?
I believe it was 153,000.
Okay.
Other financing sources, so that's the 300,000 transfer that came in from risk management to assist in covering expenses for the annex. For expenses, they have services of 453,000 and so far have expended just shy of 200,000. That was to cover the repairs at the annex. And then the remaining budget is used to pay for tort claims and legal fees. And that's it for risk management.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have building and planning. We have the boundary review board. They don't have any budgeted revenue. They're 100% supported by the general fund. Personnel has a budget of 1,600 and so far has spent $216. So they don't receive like monthly stipends every month. They just are paid for time spent. Supplies has a budget of 300 and we have not spent any money so far this year. Services has a budget of just shy of 18,000 and so far has spent 1,100. So they are significantly under budget, probably anticipating not meeting budget on expenses, which would be okay. So community long-range planning has goods and services with a budget of 6,100 and so far has brought in 3,000. So that's revenue for land use amendments. So that's where if there's a change in the land use code, that's what that revenue is. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 5,000. So far, they've brought in just shy of 12,000. They did receive a one-time historic preservation grant that was $10,000.
Real quick, Tracy, when somebody changes the land use code, they change it or do we change it?
It's usually their request, applicant request, and it's usually, we have one coming to you guys on the 12th. It started out as one parcel and it kind of grew. I think there's 10 parcels involved now. They wanted to go from rural residential 5 to rural residential 2 to add additional units on or homes on their properties. It is something that we don't get a lot of requests for. However, we are in the middle of our comp plan amendment. And so that's how it's kind of an easy way to get some of these changes done without having to do the amendment process. Kind of have them as part of our outreach to what we're currently doing.
Personnel has a budget of 424,000 and so far has expended 177,000. Again, the second half of July payroll still needs to post. If it's in line with the first half of July, we can expect that to be about 53,000. So they would be just shy of target by roughly 17,000. Supplies has a budget of just shy of 4,000 and so far has spent just under $300. So they are considered under budget for that one. Services has a budget of 164,000 and so far has spent 98,000. So they are about 3,000 over the target, but pretty close. Our next fund is building and planning. So they have licenses and permits with a budget of 1.3 million. So far, they've brought in 826,000. So they are right on target with that. Goods and services also has a budget of 1.3 million and has brought in 673,000. So those are largely going to be new construction fees based on our conversations with Tracy. It is a little lower, the activity compared to last year, but the amount of activity has been pretty steady throughout the year. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 70,000 and so far has brought in 37,000, and that's going to be investment earnings. Personnel has a budget of 2.2 million, and so far they've expended 1.1 million. So they just are slightly under target for that. They have 15 FTE and 1 vacancy. So again, the second half of July still needs to post. If that's in line with the first half of July, we can expect that to be another 58,000. And that 1 vacancy is roughly 85,000 of the budget for the entire year. So factoring those 2 items in, they would be right on target for personnel. Supplies has a budget of 36,000 and has spent just over 7,000. Services has a budget of just over 1 million and has spent just over 500,000. So they are right on target for the year. Debt service and then depreciation and amortization, those both go hand in hand. So there's not a budget for it, and it's negative because it's a reversal of our prior year financial statement entry related to subscription-based technology arrangements. So that's required to be reported by the state auditor's office, but also GASB. So that's for the Acela program.
So we're depreciating one of our, is it a software program?
Mm-hmm.
So supplies is only spent 20% of what you have budgeted. Why is it so low at this time of the year? You're halfway through the year.
We're trying just to watch our expenditures. If they're expenditures, we don't expend them, they just sit in our bank. It's just cash in our bank.
Okay.
Yeah. We've tried to cut back.
And that's all I have for building and planning.
Can I give a quick update?
Yeah.
Just sorry. I did go out onto the Spirit Lake Highway property as promised, Commissioner Farrell, Saturday and Sunday. The bulldozer was on the trailer as it was when we stopped worked them Friday, or excuse me, Thursday, and no work was being done on either day. So I was the one that went out there both of those days.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
We will continue to work with that applicant and hopefully get their permits and work through the process. We are still in need of a Building and Planning Advisory Committee replacement for Nick Massey. So if we could advertise that, it would be representing the development community. So that's the spot we need filled. If we could get that, that would be fantastic. And then we're continuing to work on our comp plan. And we have a meeting with our planning commission on August 20th at 5:30 in this room. And so planning commission will take place and we're going to start rolling out our comp plan, the draft, and letting the public and our work group and then planning commission start working on it jointly. So starting to do some more outreach.
Which day of the week was that?
It's on a Wednesday,
On a Wednesday?
Wednesday, August 20th. Yes.
Okay. Is this, did we ever settle, is this room tied up on Fridays now for the courts?
We're
Or is
still
it
working on that.
still working on it?
I should have that hopefully solidified today.
Okay.
And then I have one request. We have, a year ago, we had $150,000 grant available to us for our comp plan update and our critical areas ordinance. And it was shot down, the idea of it, because there were strings attached, which because we have to update our critical areas ordinance and our comp plan, we do report to the state. It's a state mandate. We have to update it. It's the GMA counties, some of them were last year. This year, it's our year. So we have to have our comp plan done by June of 2026. We are working towards that, and I believe we're going to meet that goal. We are doing that all in-house, which is a huge undertaking of our planning staff, planning manager, senior planners, as well as just the community. We've done a lot of meetings, and I appreciate everybody's work on that. We have the chance to take half of that money now for this year to work on our critical areas ordinance. And we don't have the expertise on our staff. It's using the best available science. And it would be nice if I could have permission from the board to at least apply for the $75,000. It would be us hiring a consultant that would be money in, going right out. We would not get any of that money in-house, but it would help us get that critical areas piece done. That's supposed to be done next year as well. We just don't have the staff to do it. So we haven't started that process yet. Is that something that you could entertain, or do you want me to bring it back at another time? You guys want to update, or with all three of you here, I could bring that back next week, maybe under
If
miscellaneous?
you could, I'm sure Commissioner Dahl would appreciate him being here on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like I said, he was not in favor of it last time, and I want to give him the chance to at least voice that again. But I mean, we don't have the staff, so I would love to be able to contract that out and get that piece done.
And is this specifically for the preparation of the comp plan? Or
No,
are you
this would
talking
be
about bringing them on?
we did the comp plan. We're continuing to do that, and we will do that in-house. But the critical areas piece, we don't have that best available science expertise on staff.
So to bring another staff person?
No, it
on
would be a consultant, and they would do it out,
As needed.
yes, as needed, and then get us through the process and get it submitted to the state.
Yeah.
I
I'm
can
good
bring it back.
Yeah, if you would.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of throw that out there and then come back.
Sure.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you for getting on that deal up Toodle Spirit
Yep.
Lake. As
Well,
you know, when we're made aware of things is when we can do something about it. So,
exactly, and us too. And when you're working through the process of permits, we always give them the benefit of the doubt, but when they continue to work and they don't have permits in hand, that's when we went and visited. So, yep,
Good.
we're taking care of it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. We're in.
Okay, so next up is the jail. So the first department is going to be 110,100. They have a budget of 321,000 for intergovernmental revenue. That's going to be made up of federal and state grants. So of the amount they brought in, which is 235,000, roughly 19,000 of that is going to be the nutrition program for meals served at the jail. And then the rest is actually a grant for medications for opioid use disorder. So that makes up the rest of what was brought in. Goods and Services has a budget of just under 1.5 million and so far has brought in 828,000. So a large portion of that is going to be bills charged to the cities for room and board. So far, the cities have paid through May. These financials are going to be through July. So we still have June and July that's outstanding. So we do believe they're actually exceeding target. So April's bill was actually 240,000 for all the cities. So just factoring in those additional 2 months is another 500,000.
And when do we start the new rate with them?
The contract is with the cities, so I'm waiting to hear back from them, but we're getting pretty close to.
Okay.
Pretty close to done.
Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 1,000 and so far they brought in $422. Other financing sources has a budget of 1.3 million and we've brought in just over 500,000. So those are going to be transfers in from the mental health tax billings. They've submitted through, I believe, May, and we just received the June reimbursement and submitted that transfer. It was another 114,000. Personnel has a budget of 7.2 million. So far, they've spent 3.7 million. The graph is showing that they are under target. They currently have 49 FTE and 6 openings. So those 6 openings, the 6 openings for the year are about 270,000 in payroll for the entire year. Again, the first half of July's payroll has been processed. If the second half is similar to the first half of July, that would be an additional 607,000, sorry. So factoring in the openings and the second half payroll, we would actually be right on target. It would be about 4.4 million spent so far this year. Supplies has a budget of 1.1 million. So far, they've expended 370,000. So I talked with Marin on this one. When they were creating the budget, they were expecting the population to actually stay for longer periods where they would need to use more medical and other supplies for the inmates. The population has remained consistent. They're just staying for shorter periods of time, so less supplies are needed. Services has a budget of 4.3 million, and so far they've spent 2.2 million. So those are contracted inmate medical care costs, which has a contract amount of roughly 2.5 million of the budgeted figure.
Real quick, Marin, what do you think is attributed to the shorter stays? Is there something is that the courts that do that, or what?
It's the type of crimes they're being arrested for. So we're seeing a lot of misdemeanors. So those are typically staying a shorter period of time. So our bookings are really pretty close to what they were in previous years, but they're processing it out more quickly. So like City of Longview is focusing on the people unlawfully camping. So we're seeing a lot of those kind of bookings. Those people are typically not staying in jail very long at all. It's common for them to get out when they go to court.
Yeah.
Capital has a budget of 123,000 and so far has spent 33,000. The department is anticipating being under budget for this line since they haven't had any major equipment fail or anything like that so far this year. So hopefully that holds true for the rest of the year. The next department is going to be 111-100. So Offender Services has a budget of 60,000 for intergovernmental revenue and so far has brought in just shy of $18,000. So 6,000 of that is distributed from the state for the cost of implementing DUI and other criminal justice statutes. The rest of the revenue is actually received from Department of Ecology. So I was looking at the financials from last year, and it looks like Department of Ecology typically sends 4 payments. So far, we've only received 1 payment this year. So if we receive the other 3 payments and the DUI revenue remains consistent with 2024, I'm anticipating that we'll probably end up around the $60,000 mark by the end of the year for goods and services. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 100, and so far we haven't brought any money in for that line item. Personnel has a budget of 971,000 and so far has expended 422,000. Again, they are showing below target. They do have 2 vacancies. And then the first half of July posting was roughly 24,000. So if the second half of July is consistent with the first half, factoring in the vacancies, they would be about 40,000 shy of the target for the year. Supplies has a budget of 15,000 and so far has spent just over 3,000. Services has a budget of 179,000 and so far has brought in or spent 132,000. So they are on target for that one. The department is expecting to be under budget for all three categories. So our last department is going to be jail concessions. Goods and services has a budget of 60,000. They are right on target. They've brought in just shy of 30,000. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 25,000 and they've actually already exceeded budget. They've brought in 29,000 for the year. Our third quarter budget amendment is going to increase that revenue line item to just over 33,000. Supplies has a budget of 70,000 and has spent just over 18,000. So those supply payments are made to the commissary provider who manages the jail's commissary. In the past, that was previously managed by the jail rather than a contractor. Services has a budget of just shy of 18,000 and so far has spent just over 4,000. And again, they are planning on being under budget for these expenses.
As far as the commissary goes, Marin, are we spending less money than we were before? Since we have a contractor now?
So this is indigent items. So these are what we typically purchase out of this supply is items for people that like hygiene supplies for indigent inmates. And then we do charge their accounts for that. So yes, those, as our numbers are lower, those supplies are going to be lower as well.
And that's all we have for jail.
Okay. Can I ask you a couple questions, Marin?
Sure.
I just got back from our risk pool conference and there are more and more counties that are jumping on board with the health monitoring system. They gave two examples where I believe it was city of Spokane or county of Spokane and Chelan County had two inmates that they actually were able to save because the monitor went off. I know we looked into that before. Have we gotten any further with that at all?
Yes, we've chosen which, there are two types. There's a wearable one and there's a cell mounted. We've chosen to go with the cell mounted. We're getting through this medical RFP and then that's the next thing we're going to tackle.
Oh, okay.
So the money from the risk pool pays for approximately 6 monitors. There's also ongoing costs. So before we move forward with that, I want to meet with the board and have a clear understanding of what the ongoing costs will be because they're not insignificant.
Yeah.
Chelan, I believe, used some of the opioid funds to do that. I think they've put them in 60 cells. So, I think I've talked to you about it before. When you're choosing which 6 cells to go in, I mean, there's a little bit of risk in that as to making sure the right people end up monitored. I am going to Chelan to assist with their a promotional process at the end of the month. So I'm going to tour their facility and take a look at those in anticipation of us moving forward.
One of the reason that they brought it up is they said that there are more insurers that are leaving the state, not wanting to do business here, and the ones that are staying are looking to make those things mandatory if they're going to insure us. Not yet,
Right.
but they're looking at making that to where they're saying if we're going to insure you, your jails better have this. And so what they talked about is now there are counties looking at consolidating services. They're saying, why do we need 33 different jails, throughout the state? So they're looking at consolidating services so that expenditure doesn't go throughout 33 different jails. It might only go out throughout 20 with counties that are sharing facilities. So there's some talk about some possible changes and stuff that we'll sit down and talk about, but I just didn't know, where we were at as far as consideration with that goes. And it might be something that we do want to consider talking to Lewis County sharing facilities, or who knows. But the news that we got at the risk pool is that it's getting more and more difficult to get insurers to insure us in this state. So.
Yeah. If they are going to require us to have those, we would have to use the wearable. It would be a really significant cost to the county. Not that it's not the right thing to do, but it would be a significant and ongoing cost to the county.
Yeah,
So,
there was also talk, Wasac was made aware of that from the risk pool, and there's gonna have to be legislation or something that's made to help with this, because it's an ongoing problem that's getting worse.
Yep.
So, and they recognize that liability in our jails is the biggest one that we have, and it's a significant issue. So, yeah, one that we're gonna have to deal with at some point.
mhm.
So, anyway, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, is Travis on yet? All right, Travis, go ahead when you're ready.
He got kicked out.
Oh,
There he is.
Good morning, this is Travis. Can you hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I was having some Zoom issues. All right, so I'm here as Travis Foschini, IT Director. I want to talk to you about CrowdStrike. We're submitting a proposal to purchase the CrowdStrike endpoint security solution. Just as background, the use and selection of an effective endpoint security product is really important. Endpoint security has been deemed the most effective product in protecting sensitive data from cybersecurity attacks by IT leaders globally, above all other products, including network security products. So this recommendation to purchase and move to CrowdStrike endpoint security is moving away from Malwarebytes. CrowdStrike is a better product. It's an enterprise grade product versus a lightweight EDR for SMBs, small business, small medium business. It's also able to detect more things like fileless attacks with less false positives. And it's also a lighter agent, meaning it takes up less resources on each computer. It's much more often than not tests better in independent evaluations by security experts and rated better by analysts. It's also a better support. It also has better supporting services. They're more comprehensive. So in the purchase of the product that we're acquiring, it would be the CrowdStrike team would handle all aspects of security operations related to the endpoint agent, including monitoring, investigation of things from the agent, threat hunting, and full end-to-end remediation of things that it finds with the agent. This is an enhanced service that we did not have with the former product. The CrowdStrike service was also specifically able to help us and assist the county in recent months by identifying a threat actor who compromised county resources when the existing endpoint security product and services were unable to. So it's the right solution for the county with a small IT team who needs hands-off protection, compliance, and threat hunting capabilities.
So it sounds like it's gonna be a significant upgrade to our security system.
It is, and it's a very important one, because again, it's really the most important tool or method to protect our data.
Was there a company that was second close to CrowdStrike with regards to the security that we looked at?
I've looked at multiple in the industry. I've used multiple. We've basically gone to CrowdStrike because they're kind of universally considered the leader in the space. And so while we looked or considered others, there wasn't really one that we looked at beyond the existing and CrowdStrike, specifically because we had to choose them very quickly when we had an incident. And we also had to choose from a list of vendors who were available for incident response that were approved for reimbursement through insurance. So it made sense to use CrowdStrike, and we had to basically be very quick in selection. When we did so, we had to install their agent in addition to the existing agent so that they could assist us. So because we had to go through that process, we implemented their agent, and their agent is already installed on all our devices. The implementation for this and the move from our former product to this product would be much easier than it would be if we went to a entirely separate product. So if we hadn't already done that, then it would have made sense to probably consider a wider field. But because they're already considered kind of a universal leader in the space, and we've already implemented the product, it was kind of an easy choice.
So the transition will be smoother. What do we, so for this new contract, since we've already currently used them, do we have to go through a procurement process with them, or what does that look like?
Yeah, we've gone through the procurement process. I've worked with procurement, I've worked with legal. The contract with them has been reviewed. There's specific terms and conditions. We've also used a competitive purchasing agreement. And so through that, we were able to select them for the purchase because they had pre-negotiated pricing through the competitive agreement, and we've also negotiated with them to obtain substantially reduced pricing beyond that.
What exactly is it you're needing from us?
Basically approval, because I need the approval from the board and signatures to move forward because of the purchase amount, because it's greater than 50,000.
Okay. And then does that have to get brought to us before a Tuesday meeting?
That's correct. It would be brought for you tomorrow is the assumption.
Good.
Yeah, we're good with that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Jennifer?
Well, Public Works was next.
Oh, is Public Works on? Oh, I had my glasses on. I'm sorry, Sean, come on in. I couldn't see down there. I just saw the noxious part.
Good morning, Commissioner Sean Rowley, Public Works. Today, we have two bid items coming for you tomorrow. The first one is a call for bids for the headquarters landfill. It's the Gas Collection and Control System, the GCCS. These are also known as vertical wells. It's the long-term gas extraction system for the landfill. And this is for approximately 20 of them and all the infrastructure that goes with those. And the second one, I think we talked on this Tuesday last week, was the call for bids for the concessionaire agreement at the Cowlitz County Public Shooting Range.
What is it we're doing with that one?
So we're going out to RFP
Oh, okay.
for a new
Got it, yeah.
concessionaire for
Yeah,
the
shooting range.
shooting range, yes.
Yeah, we're interested to see what kind of public response we get out of that.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm
Hopefully
hoping we
it's,
get a lot of
Yeah,
feedback on that.
okay.
Any other questions for us on that?
I don't have any. Steve? You have any?
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Sean. Okay. Now we're back in line.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Mendoza with Cowlitz County Noxious Weeds. We have two items coming to the agenda tomorrow for approval on the consent agenda. Both are grant funding that we typically receive. The first one is a grant from the Washington State Department of Agriculture for the treatment of knotweed within riparian areas of Cowlitz County. Typically, we've been receiving $20,000 for 2 years. This year, we're receiving $25,000 for 2 years, which is a little bit more than normal. So we're excited to be able to continue and possibly expand those projects. Did you have questions on the knotweed grant funding before I switch to the other one?
Is it becoming more of a problem, or is like an inflationary thing that we got more money for it, do you know?
I've been asking for more money for several cycles, and I think that more of a funding just became available. So we've definitely not been able to treat all of the knotweed with our funding, but we do what we can with what we have. Okay. So our second grant contract that's coming through is an agreement with the Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument to continue weed treatments within the monument boundaries. This funding comes from the Secure Rural Schools funding pot, and we're looking at receiving $47,000, which will help for roughly one season's worth of treatment. We do have two existing grants that both expire in the next few years. So this one is opening a new grant, but essentially the same project. The priority species up there, we are treating things like hawkweeds, scotch broom, knapweeds, tansy, things like that to help keep all of the invasives out of the monument as best as we can and provide for better forage for the wildlife in that area. Any questions on those two?
You said that funding provides for one season?
Roughly, it does span a number of years because of the way that our other grants are open and closed. So we typically bill portions of each grant each year, but that roughly funds one season of treatment.
For the entire monument?
For our side of the monument.
Okay.
So Skamania County and Lewis County are both involved in other areas of Mount St. Helens Monument. We do our treatments near anything up Highway 504. You get to the Elk Rock and Castle Lake viewpoints, anything off of the Coldwater Trail system, the Hummocks Trail system, and we go out the boundary as far as we can. We also have been working with WashDOT to make sure that the right-of-way is treated within the monument as well. So it's a big partnership.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, moving along. If we have any citizen comments right now? No. Okay. Jessica.
Good morning, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. I just have one request today, and that's a request to fill from Risk Management. They're requesting to fill their Risk and Safety Analyst position. He has accepted a job elsewhere.
Oh, well, we're sad to hear that. How it's a position that we're gonna have, yeah.
Okay.
So how much longer is you with us?
21st.
Okay. Bigger and better? Yeah. Good, good for you.
There isn't any such thing.
Yeah, okay. That's
And
it.
that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Steve, you got anything?
Nope.
So we do have an executive session at 10. What is it on? Real estate negotiations. So we'll go ahead and recess till then. Thank you. Hey, I need to correct a mistake that I made. We have executive session at 11, not at 10. And so Risk Pool is going to give us a presentation that they had prepared for us at 10 o'clock. I need to keep my glasses on or off. Can't see.
Shelley Pierce, Risk Manager.
Scott Kalian, risk analyst.
And this is our July presentation, so welcome. Workers' compensation, open claims current claims as of 7/7. Claims as of July 1st, 11. 2 new claims opened during June. Claims closed during June. Claims after July 31st, 12.
Correction on this.
That
It's
should say July.
open claims current as of today. Instead of 7/7 on the top title.
And then our workers' compensation claims, actual payout amount. Do you want to go over that?
So we had a kind of an obscure month in June. And now we're back down to July. So in June, we were a little higher than previous years. But now we're settling back down. We had a couple of payments that we had to catch up on. So now that we're past that, now we're more on our typical range. So there's no, as far as I could tell, well, as far as this month goes, there's no items that are outstanding that would cause us to jump. So right now, our most costly claims are time loss, and those 2 time losses are about 80% of what we're paying. So they're severe injuries and they're life altering. So those 2 severe injuries are what's causing our payments to go up. The cost of medical and insurance also is a contributing factor. However, compared to last year, it's probably around 6 to 7% increase that I've seen so far. And that's just from the surgery side of things. The surgery side of the cost of those claims seems to have jumped about 7%, at least just in overall surgery. I can't compare surgery to surgery because they're all different, but just how we experience the surgery costs, it's about 7%.
Higher cost per surgery or just more surgeries this time?
No, actually, it's higher cost per surgery.
Okay.
Yep. Higher cost per surgery. On severity levels. That's the only way I could compare the surgeries.
Okay.
As far as this month goes, for the year, we had 16 open claims this year to date. Compared to last year, we had 18 prior to year to 2023. 2023, I'm starting to find that the information in 2023 is, I'm not entirely sure why the numbers in 2023 seem to be low compared to the rest of the other years surrounding it. Not entirely sure why. That was something I've been trying to figure out, because if you look at it as a data standpoint, it's a little odd that for the month of July, we only spent $1,900, $2,000. So I am looking into that. I don't necessarily have an idea of why, but to just notate that 2023 is kind of an outlier. It's a low year in claims and in payments. So, but we are projected to go down. It's not as low as we probably would hope for, but it is a projection downward. Next slide, please. So the 16 claims that we had open this year are broken down by departments. Sheriffs being the highest and the jail being second. All injuries correlating to both of these departments, there's not a pattern in injuries. So they are typical worker comp injuries. There's not a root cause for, there's not a single root cause for more than one of these. So right now, we are standing at where you're typically, your injuries would be at. The only outlier in that is the prosecuting attorney's office. So, and that injury was a very unpredictable injury.
None of those, if you pick one of those categories, the sheriff's office or the jail, none of those have a common denominator that would make them a preventable accident.
Besides them being physical in itself.
Yeah, the common denominator is the element they're dealing with.
Manual labor and, yeah.
Okay.
Next slide, please. 2024, sorry about the color coding. I couldn't get it to work on this one, so it's a little confusing. But the color coding on this, kind of the same spread. It's not much different. The road fund had road fund had 3, and the road fund is actually roads administration. I just want to clarify that. It's just in our system, it's categorized as road fund. The sheriffs had 4. We have 5 this year. The Superior Court were the exposure related injuries. So that's a little different. But other than that, there's no real difference between last year and this year as far as this month goes.
Superior Court had 3.
Well, 3 reported.
Reported.
Yeah, 3 reported. And that non-employee one, I counted it because it's still an open claim that we had an open, but that was not with us. That was with actually the fire department. So that one was denied, but I wanted to show that there was 18 open claims in that year.
Okay, next slide. Liability claims. So as of July 1st, we had 11 new claims in July 1. We closed no claims in July. Currently, we have 8 claims in litigation, and then that brings us to a total of 12. And I'll also be updating on an executive session, our quarterly litigation liability claims update, as well as our L&I claims update. Just a reminder, as of today, security badges for all Cowlitz County due to our MILIG project, where courts are being moved over here on Fridays. It was a recommendation from Homeland Security that we all be wearing no name badges, photo badges, so that we can easily be identified. In accordance with the HVAC MILIG projects, we're identifying vendors and we're asking all employees to wear ID badges. Our vendors will have an orange badge, so it will look a lot different, and we'll be getting that communication out today with like a sample of what one looks like. And then we have our wonderful, talented Elise, who's been helping schedule all photos for anyone that needs a new badge or lost theirs for any reason. And then the third-party claims. Cowlitz County's third-party claim administrator TPA is authorized to investigate third-party liabilities related to workers' comp claims, pursue and recover funds on behalf of the county. This process helps mitigate costs and ensure responsible parties are held accountable. So we just wanted to kind of put that out as a reminder. And then we also just recently completed our annual risk pool audit, our annual cybercrime audit, risk pool state mandated audit on all tort claims was submitted in July. And those, one more, forgot to turn the page. We employ a third party to do our security team, which is Northwest Enforcements. And last week or the week prior, they observed 2 individuals making inappropriate comments and bomb threats at the museum property. It was on July 23rd. Following their actions, we contacted Kelso, sorry, not Kennewick, Kelso Police Department, and filed an official report the same day. We also have photographic evidence and surveillance footage. All of the security team knows who they are, what they look like, why we should dial 911 immediately. So we've been coached, we've coached our staff, and then Northwest Enforcement's coached their team so that we're all aware of how to approach the situation should they come back on campus.
Were these homeless people or somebody or?
Yeah, we believe them to be homeless. Yeah, and I believe they were at the museum, probably charging their cell phones or doing something like that. And our wonderful, talented Joel asked them it's time to move on, and then they gave him some threats. So.
Yeah, I can appreciate Commissioner Farrell's question about the common denominator. One of the things that they said under the current legislative environment, the only thing we can do is reduce our risk and try to reduce the number of claims that we get.
Yeah.
And trying to find what that denominator is, sometimes it's a futile attempt because people are people and they're going to do what they do, but others, anything we can do to help eliminate as much risk as possible in this current environment.
Yeah, I've asked for facilities. I did a ticket to cap the plug-in box with a lock so that it just eliminates the ability to charge your cell phone and camp out there. So if we have any buildings that need a cap with a lock for electricity, that can be a deterrent to some of our homeless.
On your liability slide, you had 8 cases in litigation. Do you have any idea how soon any of those will be resolved?
4 of them are the sexual abuse claims, and then the other 4, I have a feeling one will close this month, and the other 3 are still an ongoing process.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention this since you're talking about the bomb threat thing. One of the things that they brought up at the conference is they're encouraging us to, anytime there is any possibility of a risk or liability taking place, to notify them, because they actually showed cases where people were notified within the county, but they didn't notify the risk pool, and nothing was done about what the notification, oh, it's not going to happen. Something did happen, and by the mere fact that we were notified and didn't do anything about it, and it was something, it was something ridiculous, like a branch hanging over a stop sign. I don't know what it was. They didn't go into details about that, but what they're saying is notify them for anything, because they can help us prevent foreseeable issues in the future.
Okay, wonderful. I'll share the police report number with them and everything that we filed and worked with Sheriff Thurman. And so, yeah, I'll share that with them today.
Do we know the names of the individuals by chance?
We do. It's in the report. I can share it with you if you want. I don't remember their names off the, Joel, you probably don't remember their names.
That was never made private. They identified the individuals who faced recognition, but
that was it.
Details of persons.
Other than we were told these are very dangerous perpetrators,
yes.
And to dial 911 immediately, do not approach them for any reason. So that information we did get.
So basically they were trespassed?
No, because they left on their own account. So we couldn't trespass them because they had already taken off. Had they stayed on campus, and we would have dialed 911 and somebody come to the site, we could have trespassed them. But should we see them again, we most absolutely will trespass.
What you know if Dennis Anderson, does that ring a bell for you?
It doesn't ring a bell.
All right.
Were they inside the museum when this took place?
No.
No.
Outside outlet.
Yeah, parking lot area. A lot of people like to camp out there on the employee entrance side. So we've made sure that all staff are aware of what to do if someone's there. You call 911, call a supervisor, do something, but don't go in if there's people milling around out there, just from a safety perspective.
I think that real bright light that's over the employee entrance door just got installed a couple of years ago for exactly that problem.
Yeah.
And it really helps they said it really helps during the winter time when
It
it's dark
does.
early, and yeah.
It does.
Good.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Sorry, Shelley,
Oh,
one
yeah.
more. I'm really sorry. I don't think I mentioned this, but you had a question a couple months ago specifically on cases or workers' compensations where a third party is involved.
Yeah.
And I had incorrectly stated that besides going to litigation with that party and providing evidence that it was wrongful in the third party terms. I spoke with our Everly Vivian, our third party administrator, and they actually investigate that portion as well. And they actually put that into the claim as well. So if there was a third party, then yes, that type of information they do claim, and that they would try to recover funds if it was possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So
So
just
they,
to clarify.
so they're actively involved in the submittal process of that claim, submitting it. Okay.
Yes, they intake essentially anything that could result the claim being approved or denied. So that would result with any third-party involvement.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. We have a visitor with us. Would you care to address us?
Neil?
Neil? No?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So we do have an executive session at 11, and we will go ahead and recess till then.
Okay.
Okay, we are back and we are going to go ahead and go into executive session under real estate for the cause and probably 10 minutes. Okay.
board is extending the executive session an additional 5 minutes until 11:17 a.m.
Okay, we are back from executive session and no decisions were rendered. And Commissioner, do you have anything?
I've got nothing.
Okay, we will go ahead and adjourn.